Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Unhinged Fangirl with me, Destiny. I'm trying to switch up my greeting because I notice I say, hey, guys, every week. So, hey, everyone. Wow. This day specifically that I'm recording this on has been a long one. It's been an emotionally taxing day. And just fair warning, also, subscribe to the podcast if you like. But fair warning, I'm going to sound very parasocial in this episode because everything that has happened this week has been very parasocial of me. Sorry, I have to talk about it. But yeah, I'm going to the Love Island reunion happened this week, so you already know that most of the episode is going to be about that. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, I am wearing the exact same sweater that I've been wearing for the past 3 weeks. Mind your business. One other thing, I don't know why, if there's ever an opportunity that I can stay up at night, I will. And I don't know why my body does that. You would not believe what time it is right now. I'll tell you, it's 2 a.m. Why am I filming a podcast at 2 a.m.? Well, I'm not going to be here this weekend because it's a Labor Day weekend and I'm going to Connecticut. So in order to have an episode this week, I have to record it now, and I put it off to the last minute. So I'm recording this very late at night. So sorry in advance if I don't make any sense at all, but this is just how it has to be. So yeah, I literally am the definition of nocturnal. If I didn't work mornings, I would be up all night. So I don't know why I like to do that, but be who you are for your pride. Am I right? Okay. Like I said, a lot of this episode is going to be Love Island, but I do have to talk about a couple other things before that because, again, the parasocial will be jumping out. But what made me unhinged this week is that all of the men that I love are being taken away from me. Who are all the men that you love, Destiny? Well, that's a long list, but it's just hit after hit after hit of people coupling up. And I personally don't appreciate that. So first on the list, I think I found out about this on a Sunday or something. So first of all, I already have Sunday scaries. And then my heart's about to break because, okay, and I don't know if this is true. So this is all alleged. But I was watching a TikTok that was when your celebrity crush gets in a relationship, it's I actually forgot what the TikTok said, but it was basically about how when your celebrity crush gets in a relationship and it feels like you're being broken up with, And then I look in the comments because I'm like, that's so funny. And someone's like, this is how I found out about Lizzie McAlpine and Milo Manheim. Let me say that again. Lizzie McAlpine, who I actually was just talking about last week, and Milo Manheim. You can't see it, but I think I talked about when I went to New York to go see Milo because I did talk about it. Because it was a really big moment for me because I saw that he was in Little Shop of Horrors and I was like, I have to go to New York. I don't know how long he's going to be. I don't know how long this run is going to happen for. So I need to get to New York within 2 weeks. Because I love Milo. He's in one of my favorite shows, School Spirits, on Paramount Plus. Go watch it. And I feel so deeply for him. And I love Lizzie. I love Lizzie McAlpine. I love her music. She got me through my breakup, like I said last week. And I've been rocking with her for so long. And once I saw that comment, I was like, wait, this actually makes... There's a lot of sense that is being made right now because I've noticed that Lizzie has been getting very close with majority of the cast from School Spirits. So I'm like, I knew her and Milo were friends. like, oh yeah, she went to go see Milo when he was doing Jesus Christ Superstar in LA. And I was like, oh, friends supporting friends. No, I think it's something more. And then I go on her Instagram and he's like all in her comments. And I'm like, so that was heartbreaking to see. Again, I don't know if they're actually dating. They could just be very friendly, but it's Milo. It's Milo. And if she's writing songs about him, I won't be able to cope. I will not be able to cope one bit. Because how dare you? So that was one of my men being taken away. And then I think the next day, there's a video of Harry Styles. I think he was in London or Rome. I don't know. I think he was in Rome. There's a video of Harry Styles in Rome. And who is on his arm? Zoe Kravitz. Right. Zoe Kravitz. The same woman who dated Penn Badgley. The same woman who dated Channing Tatum. Hot. The same woman who is starring in a new movie with Austin Butler, who, again, I talked about last week. And let me tell you. The way Austin looks at her in this press tour is just, it's borderline diabolical. And maybe that's just Austin. That's just the way that he looks at people. I know we're talking about her, but I'm talking about Austin. Maybe that's the way that Austin just looks at women, but like, it's, I can't even think about it. So there was already speculation that maybe her and Austin were together. But then the video of her and Harry in Rome, arm in arm, comes out. Like, and I've already talked about Harry Styles and brown skin, lemon over ice. Like, the past couple of relationships that Harry has had, it's been with women of color. And I think they've mainly been biracial. So I don't know what to do with that information. I don't. So that's two main men taken away from me. Two main men at some of the top places of my tier list. Right, of course. Now, these aren't men being taken away from me, but these are men that really impacted me as a middle school child. There was discourse happening online. Not even discourse. It was just like fun banter, I guess. But Troye Sivan uploaded like a photo dump. And the first photo was him and Chappell Roan back when Chappell Roan was not Chappell Roan. Like, I think this was like literally 2013. And so that picture is famously with him and Connor Franta. And it's funny because I actually wanted to talk about O2L, but that's not going to happen this week. Maybe some other time I will talk about O2L as a whole. But Connor was a very famous YouTuber. And at the time, Troy also did YouTube, but he was also like diving into music a little bit. Or at least I should say like dabbling or whatever. But it was always rumored that they were dating, right? But it was never confirmed, actually. But there's a song on Blue Neighborhood, which is Troy's first album, full-length album. And all of the songs on the album are in uppercase font or uppercase lettering, whatever. Except for one song called For Him. And that song is very, 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 very clearly about said boyfriend at the time, Connor Franta. Of course, not confirmed, but there's actually a whole lot of lore But there was a version, I think in the original version, there's like a feature on it. But in the version where it's just Troy singing, the bridge, he mentioned something about like cups of coffee. And Connor's whole thing was like, he loves coffee. I'm pretty sure he ended up making like a coffee line, like coffee beans or something. Like that was his whole personality. I don't remember all of the lyrics in that bridge, but it was very clearly about Connor. And so that was like a whole thing on the internet. And so, it was speculated that they dated and then obviously they broke up. But then on Troy's second album, there was a song called The Good Side, which heartbreaking. It's a heartbreaking song, but I love it. So with all that being said, Troy posted this old photo of him and Chapel, but cropped out Connor. And then it was just like a bunch of random photos in the dump. And I forget what the caption was, but it wasn't like really shady. And then Connor posts his own Instagram dump. And it's the other side of that photo, which would be him and Chapel. And the caption, I'm pretty sure the caption said, "My good side." Which, whoa. Again, as like a 2013, 2014 YouTube, Tumblr girl, like they were everything to me. I was obsessed with them. And I followed this like fan account on Instagram, just basically like posting crumbs of their relationship when it was happening. And so with all that being said, obviously the internet was like up in it just went crazy. And then Connor comes out with a video. I think the video was called The Good Side. Again, referencing the same song. And in that video, Connor confirms the relationship. He never says Troy's name, but like we can put the pieces together. Like we're knowledgeable in this. So he's talking about the relationship that him and Troy had, and he confirms that, they did date. They dated for 2 years and, all this stuff. And he's talking about the song that Troy wrote. And in that song, he's like, we met in the spring. And he's like, we actually didn't meet for like a couple years after that. And then we talked about everything. And he was just like wishing him well. And there was like no bad blood. And it was just like, it's literally just like a 5-minute video of just him explaining everything and just his side of the story. But it was beautiful and I screamed because their ship name was Troner. We're getting Troner lore in in the year 2025. I was trying to say a joke I'm actually I don't know the joke, so I'm going to move on. But yeah, I had to talk about Troy and Connor because it was just a really fun time to be on the internet again. One last thing that did happen this week is that Taylor Swift is engaged. Can you even believe Taylor Swift is engaged? And the fact that she also got engaged in August is just like, August is one of my favorite songs from her. I would say it's like top 3 songs of Taylor Swift. Now, what are the other 2? I don't know. And I'm not ranking August. Like, I don't know. But I love August. And also, and it's just when she posted that Instagram post of her engagement with Travis Kelce, if you aren't aware for some reason, she put her song So High School, which I love that song. I think it's so sweet and cute. And it's just like when you're in love, you just feel like you're back in high school and it's like the biggest thing in the world. And I think it's so sweet and cute. And I'm obsessed with it. I was talking about this earlier, but I'm just shocked that she decided to even like share her engagement with us. Cause I feel like she is pretty private on, like day to day. She does share a lot in her music, which makes her, her fans like feel like they know her, which I love. And her songwriting is incredible. But I feel like she is the type of person, obviously, like Taylor Swift loves attention. I think every pop star does, because why else would you put yourself out there if you don't like attention like that? But I feel like she's also the type of person to want to do something like this in private. So, like, in my head, I always thought, like, because there were rumors when she was with Joe. Sorry, trigger word. When she was with Joe Alwyn, that they had like secretly got married or whatever, and they were engaged or whatever. And so I always thought that she would just like quietly elope and then write about it in her songs, and then we would kind of put the pieces together. But I think it's really sweet that she shared that moment with us. And I mean, the pictures were absolutely gorgeous. Travis did an incredible job where he proposed. It was gorgeous. And like the ring is custom made, and it's so wah, it's just, she's waited so long for a moment like this, and to see it come to fruition in the way that, her and Travis met was just, I love it. I love love. What can I say? I wanted to say something else about it, but I forgot. She did not let August slip away. Hello. I just need to make that joke because it's just, also, I can't get over the fact, and I know a lot of people were talking about this when her and Travis first got together, but now that they're engaged, I'm like, this is crazy. But we have to acknowledge the song Endgame. Endgame. He's a football player. Endgame. Like, I just love it. I just love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I'm obsessed. Okay. I had to take a moment because we're about to dive into the Love Island finale. Reunion. And I am, for the most part, going to talk about Huda, because after this, I like never want to talk about her again, because she is just like, I don't have respect for her, and I don't like her, and I don't like the way that she is. Point blank period. I don't like the way that she is. So it's mainly going to be about Huda, but I'm going to try to remember some of the highlights, because I only wrote down a couple notes because I was like starting to get exhausted. There was one moment, before I start talking about Huda, there was one moment where Amaya was like, I forgot what she was talking about, but she said, blah, 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 Grammy Award winning actor. And that was crazy. It's moments like that, and I'm not trying to like dog on Amaya right now. Trust me, we'll get there. But it's moments like that where I'm like, I don't understand how she became a nurse, if we're being completely honest. I think she is a smart woman, but it's like when she gets tripped up over her words like that, I'm like, how does she like relay information in a concise way in like a hospital? Because I'm imagining like she works in a hospital, but I don't know what kind of nurse she is. So whatever. Anyway, let's talk about the final four. We have Chris and Huda, who I don't care about. We have Iris and Pepe, which, by the way, by the time that I'm filming this, every single couple in the final four has been broken up except for NICOLANDRIA. So NICOLANDRIA on top, but Iris and Pepe were always like giving summer fling to me. I think they did like each other, but at the same time, I don't know. And there was a moment where I think it was Andy or maybe Ariana, I don't remember. where they flat out asked Iris, would you want to be Pepe's girlfriend? And she just looks at him and just laughs. And I get it's kind of an awkward question, but you have to go into the reunion for a show like Love Island and expect them to ask for a relationship status. But it was also the fact that they phrased the question like, do you want to be Pepe's girlfriend? And she stayed silent. So there's that. Also, moving on to Amaya and Brian. I mean, again, by the time Amaya has come out and said that her and Brian are no longer together. And the morning of the reunion, they had unfollowed each other. So, yeah, I didn't really trust Brian all that much. Like, yes, before the villain knew that she was popular, he did stand up for her in the Standing on Business challenge. But also, like, I don't know. I don't know. It didn't have like any legs to stand on, that relationship. And so from the sounds of it, it sounds like, he might have cheated. And I don't know. I don't think, if I'm being like completely honest and like earnest, I don't think he's going to use any of the money that he made, or he won, I should say, on any charity that he said he was, because he already bought a $30,000 watch, and after taxes the $50,000 becomes like $30,000. So I don't know, it's giving scammer to me, but what do I know? Also, I don't think I mentioned that Pepe cheated on Iris, so that's why they're no longer together. Okay, I'm already like really exhausted, so if nothing makes sense, that's why. But I just have to talk about Huda as a whole, because I was going into this reunion knowing I was going to get irritated by Huda because she was irritating the entire season. Did she have some moments where I was like, oh, I think she might like be turning over a new leaf, she might be changing, and then she goes back into her old ways. So I just think it's interesting that during the entire reunion, they're playing clips from the show, good clips, bad clips, extended clips. Every time that they would play something about Huda, whether it was her literally yelling across the villa, her coercing Chris into doing something at night, her talking about the, not soggy pancake, the raw pancake that Jeremiah gave her, whatever it was, whatever bad, good, whatever moment that she was having, she was laughing on the couch. She was laughing the entire reunion, thinking that, if I laugh, then it shows that I'm above it. If I laugh, then that means that, they can't tear me down because it looks like I don't really care about it. That's actually so embarrassing for you, because you laughing makes it just looks so disingenuous, because there's nothing to laugh at all. And also her being like, I can't talk about my new relationship. I for legal reasons, Netflix will not allow me to. Girl, we saw you on the red carpet. Okay, whatever. Okay, now we're getting into the heavy stuff, because the last 30 minutes of this reunion was like really hard to watch for me. Because I knew they were going to talk about it, but it hurt even more hearing the full conversation in real time. And so it really does break my heart that, specifically when Alandria got her phone, like right after Fiji, or when she was like still in Fiji in the airport, she was bombarded with hateful and racist tweets, comments, pictures, what memes, anything and everything. Because she mentioned, like, yeah, I was in the airport and I was talking to Huda about some of her supporters, being racist towards me. And she was very open. She was very honest. And her and Huda were very close in the villa and outside of the villa for a while. And it just really hurts to see or to hear about Alandria. When you first get back to civilization, when you first get your phone, it's supposed to be a happy time. It's supposed to, be a time to catch up with all your friends and family, to see the love and support that you've been getting throughout the season. But no, Alandria was bombarded with, again, hateful and racist comments. And racist memes. And she talked about seeing that George Floyd meme of her. I think it just, absolutely and utterly disgusting. But before they had even left Fiji, Alandria was saying that she asked Huda if she could, like, make a post addressing her fans, being like, I don't condone racism. Pretty much, Alandria was asking Huda to say something to her fans, being like, this is not okay. I don't condone this. Just addressing people who, are in support of Huda and think that they've done, like, that are in support of Huda and they think Alandria has done something wrong in their friendship. But she asked Huda before they left Fiji, and then she asked her again in LA with Shelly, being like, can you please just, like, address your fans and say something, literally anything? And Huda said that she would do it in, like, she said that she would make a post. 2 days go by, no post. 3 days go by, no post. And that was when, Shelly and Alandria decided that they wanted to unfollow Huda, because it actually makes no sense as to why she couldn't just sit down and literally take 5 minutes to make a post about not being racist towards people that she allegedly cares about, And Huda, this entire time that this exchange is going on and on the reunion, she's deflecting. And she's like, well, I've experienced racism too. And it's like, I didn't say you didn't experience racism. I'm saying that, can you please take a stand and ask your fans to not do that, to not send hate my way, to not make racist memes. I don't think that's so hard to do. And yet, after the reunion, she quickly hopped on TikTok to make a post about how she wants to, handle her relationships in private, and she just doesn't feel comfortable talking about that in the public eye. And it's like, okay, well, you did that really quickly, but when someone is asking you, some of your closest friends in the villa, allegedly, when someone's asking you to do something like that, to address what is going on, suddenly I had a lot going on. And that statement alone just, like, further confirmed that Huda is a selfish woman. And if it doesn't concern her, she's not going to do anything about it. And she has no empathy towards anyone else but herself. Because how can you sit with someone and they're opening up to you about things that they're seeing online, things that they are experiencing, the threats that they are getting every single day from your supporters, majority, and you sit there in her face and just say, yeah, I'll make a post, and then never do it. Okay. Like, I just don't understand. And like I said, it's always been the Huda show, and she doesn't speak up for anyone but herself, which is a direct reflection this is what I wrote down. I feel like this is a direct reflection of the said trauma that she was talking about on Call Her Daddy, when, you know, people wouldn't believe her, people wouldn't listen to her. And so I think she's built up this kind of complex where it's like, I need to look out for me, myself, and I, and that's it, because nobody else is going to do it, which, you know, at its core, that's fine. Like, you should always stick up for yourself, and you should always, you know, do what's best for you. But also you have to extend that grace to others. You have to extend that courtesy to the people in your life that you say you love. And that just doesn't happen. And that didn't happen in this situation. And there was a moment where she's like, again, laughing at some clip that that they're showing at the reunion. And Andy was like, do you think that's funny? And she's like, yeah, I think that's so funny because I'm such a different person now. And I've done a lot of reflection. And he goes, you've completely changed. He didn't say this, but I can't remember the direct quote, but he was like, you completely changed your outlook in a month. Like, you're just a changed woman now in a month. Like, that doesn't happen. And honestly, you haven't. It's been body to body to body, and not to body shame. I'm just saying, like, after she got out of the villa, she's already coupled up with someone new. So it's like, how much self-reflecting have you done when you're already in a new relationship? Because I personally think that a lot of self-reflection has to come with you being alone. Yes, obviously you can learn things in relationships, and it's a great test and experience to put things that you learned in a past relationship into a new one. Sure, yeah. But there are also some things that happen to people that they need to reflect on by themselves, and they need to deal with on their own. And a lot of people don't do that because people don't like being alone with themselves. And that's a whole other issue that needs to be unpacked. It's crazy because she also was saying, while Shelly and Alandria were, you know, trying to stick up for themselves, she said that she didn't see any of the racist memes that they were seeing. But earlier in the reunion, when they were talking about Chris and Huda, she said that she kept seeing all the hate that Chris was getting on her For You page, so she decided to call him up and apologize 2 days prior to the reunion. Okay. So you weren't willing to stick up for your fellow girl islanders, but you're willing to at least apologize to Chris, who is so over her and all of her antics. And it's weird. And I also wrote this down. I said, just to be abundantly clear, Huda is a male-centered woman, and that tells me everything I ever need. Because something about a woman who is so male-centered, it's life-altering in a really bad way. And it messes with your brain immediately. And I remember even when Huda was in the villa, I think this is like early episodes, and people were finding like her old TikToks, and every single one of her TikToks was about a man. And I'm like, girl, it's okay. It's okay. You can be alone. You can be alone, raise your daughter, and do what you need to do. I don't know. It's just, I want to stop talking about it. I think I have one more point. Oh, I'm actually done talking about Huda. But it was the reason why the last 30 minutes of the reunion are so rough for me to watch was because they're talking about the racism that Alandria and Shelly have been dealing with, and all of the hateful comments and people not sticking up for them, blah, 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 blah. And then they completely switched, no commercial break. They completely switched gears to the heart rate challenge, which the unedited clip was crazy. I didn't realize Chris was going that hard as well as Huda. And also, whatever. I need to wrap this up because I am falling asleep. I am falling asleep. Maybe this will be the one time that I'm actually having a short episode, but we'll see about that. Any other takeaways from the reunion? I love NICOLANDRIA. I think they're so fun. They call him Big Belgian for a reason. What else? Austin, I saw a tweet that literally was like, Austin has CTE, because every time Ariana would ask him a question, he would take at least a minute to answer. And it's like, baby, you need some help. Genuinely, you need help. And I hope you get the help that you deserve, because I couldn't believe it. I could not believe my eyes. Something else that happened today that really messed with me in a really big way. And I don't really know. I kind of know why. Like I said, I'm being very parasocial in this episode, and I understand that. But after I saw this specific clip, I was freaking out, and I was really anxious, and I had to decompress for at least an hour and a half. But Ace from Love Island, okay, we're done from the reunion. I have nothing else to say. I don't think so. Oh, actually, the apology that Taylor gave Alandria at the reunion, don't piss me off. He said, I've been waiting for the right time to do it. Okay, in front of the cameras? If you really felt sorry, you would not have waited until the reunion, which was a couple weeks after they had already left the villa. Okay? Yeah, I'm not doing the reunion justice, but I am really tired, so you're going to have to just deal with it. I talked about what I really wanted to talk about, because I never want to talk about her again. So that's it. But another person that I never want to talk about again, Ace. Ace, famously, this whole press run, for the most part, he wasn't doing any interviews. He did a couple interviews recently with big name magazines with all of the cast. Not all of the cast, but most of the cast. But other than that, he hasn't been going on podcasts. He hasn't really spoken out about anything. He's done one TikTok live, but he's not really active from what I see, and that's not much because I don't really follow him. But today he did a interview which was marketed as his one and only interview with a guy named Speedy. I don't know Speedy. I've seen him on TikTok a couple times, but I don't watch his videos. And I saw him interview Jeremiah on there once, but I didn't listen, nor do I care. So Ace went on this podcast, and he was talking about a couple of different things. I don't know. I didn't watch it after I saw this specific clip. But there was a clip where Speedy asks Ace if he thinks NICOLANDRIA is real, which, by the way, the person who has done this interview, I've come to realize, is not a NICOLANDRIA stan and doesn't really like Nick that much. So keep that in the back of your mind. So he asked, do you think NICOLANDRIA is real? And Ace stays silent and starts smiling. Okay, and then the interviewer goes, is that a yes? Is that your answer? And then I forgot the entire exchange, but he was basically insinuating that he doesn't believe that NICOLANDRIA is real. And he says from the last, what did he say? The last conversation that he had with Nick was that they were both physically attracted to each other, but he wasn't sure if it was anything more than that. Which, okay, let me just put into, when I saw this clip, someone sent it to me on Twitter. I think it was my friend Sophie. She sent this clip to me, and I immediately started freaking out because I'm over here thinking that Ace and Nick are so close, and I'm thinking oh my God, Ace has heard something. Ace knows something that we don't. And, he's playing Alandria like Kenny played Janae. I was like, I immediately went there. And I was just like so scared and I got so anxious. And then once I sat down and actually watched the clip and I went on Twitter to like try to put the pieces together, because I wasn't going to view the entire podcast, because after that clip, I just knew what this was. So yeah, basically Ace is smiling and not saying anything. And then, he's basically insinuating that they're not real. And the last conversation that Nick had with Ace was in the villa. So it's been about 6 weeks post villa. And now you're spreading this, I want to say propaganda. You're just spewing this narrative that, they're not real and that I care about Alandria, but I just don't think that this relationship is genuine. Like, you don't know what their relationship is like anyway. And the thing is, this whole interview was just so disgusting and like awful, because it all stemmed from someone being so prideful and so egotistical that they couldn't stand the fact that when they got out of the villa, another man, a white man, mind you, was more popular than him, because he thinks that he needs to be the ringleader, or maybe not the ringleader, not even. Let's stop using that word. That was a big word on the reunion. But he thinks he needed to be the leader. He was the big dog on campus. And he got out of the villa and he was, it was a rude awakening that people, not only are you not the top choice of the season, he was pretty hated. He was not liked at all, me included. So to go on this podcast and spew this narrative that Nick and Alandria have been fighting since day one that they have been out of the villa, because every single podcast that they ever go on, they're always asked, like, is this real? Is this relationship real? They're always fighting to have their relationship, feel authentic to viewers, which it really doesn't matter what outside opinions think, but they're always trying to fight to prove themselves in this relationship. And then for you to go on a podcast and to continue this narrative is disgusting, Ace. It's actually disgusting. And it's just, it really is crazy. And it actually just today, the Nick and Alandria did a interview with New York Times, and she was talking about how, after everything has been happening and now that the reunion is done, she wants to be more private with her relationship with Nick. And another big point of this interview was that Alandria feels very hurt when, people are talking bad on her, but also talking bad on Nick, because she cares about Nick so much that it hurts to see that. And so that makes her want to not share as much of their relationship. And then literally hours later, this interview with Ace drops, and he's doing exactly what she was scared of happening. And also, again, like I said, Ace in this interview, he mentioned that he really cares about Alandria, and he, whatever he said. And yet he was just with her for Shelly's birthday a couple days ago. And if he was really as concerned as a friend, maybe he would have told her all of this to her face. And Ace is a big proponent of, saying before the reunion, he was like, I just feel like people aren't being real and they're not saying things face to face and they're not standing on business, which, hey, you just did what you said you don't like about a lot of people in the villa. So he wanted to push this narrative, and and on top of all of this, he knows the hate that Alandria and Shelley, his supposed girl, have been going through since they left this villa. And for him to dogpile on that and to just, again, make people question Alandria and Nick and their relationship as a whole, it's just so disgusting and disappointed. And if I was Shelley, I would literally distance myself from Ace, like truly. And mind you, Shelley and Alandria have been on this press tour together, and Alandria always calls Shelley her soul sister. She really cares about Shelley, and it's kind of hard to think about, because if Shelley and Ace are so locked in, don't you think that Ace has shared these opinions with Shelley before, and yet she stays silent? If Shelley stays with Ace after this interview and doesn't say anything about it, like, that's a no bueno for me. That's actually a no bueno, because that's weird behavior. And honestly, it was just such a shock to see something like that today. And I can only think, and I saw this creator talk about this, but I can only think that Alandria has been like praying and manifesting that, like, you know, if someone's in my life for the wrong reasons, like, let them go. And that's like, and baby, they're gone. Baby, they're gone. Because that was such a telling of Ace's character. And like, I already didn't like him, but now it's like, I have no respect for you or anything that you do. And also, this was like, I guess in the interview, Ace was talking about how he didn't feel like Nick was supporting him outwardly, just because I think in an interview, Nick had said that, you know, obviously he wished Shelley and Alandria were there, and like people missed the concept of Love Island because they were such a strong couple. And I think he may have slightly changed that answer to be a little more like neutral. But to say that Nick was not being supportive of Ace outside of the villa is actually crazy. It's crazy work. But the thing about Ace is he loves to control someone. He loves to control people, which is why he's besties with Taylor. Like, Nick is someone, like, you're not about to like whip him into shape or like make him do anything he doesn't want to do, because he is a grown man and he does whatever he wants, like most men should in that type of dynamic. Also, circling back to Ace being like, oh, I really care for Alandria. If you really cared for Alandria, you would have told her in the villa that Taylor is not physically attracted to you, and I think you should explore your options. Like, it really, like, I was so disgusted after seeing the discourse today about that. And I really just, my heart goes out to Nick and Alandria. And I can't even imagine, like, the betrayal that they feel. Oh, going back to Ace's point about how he doesn't think that Nick had his back. Like, Nick has been so supportive of Ace since being outside the villa. Like, he's made birthday posts. He's been sharing love in the comments of Ace's posts. And, you know, Nick has even said on a couple lives, or maybe it was one live, but he said on a live, like, you know, I've been trying to call Ace, but he hasn't been calling me back. He hasn't been picking up my phone calls. And like, Nick is a very like happy-go-lucky guy, and he's very carefree, and he wants to be friends with a lot of people. But him, Ace, and Taylor those were the core three boys, you know? And so for them to come out of the villa and it be a complete switch, it's crazy. It's really crazy. And I just really hope that Nick and Alandria throughout this time really cling on to each other, because at this point, they're all that they have. They're all that they have from the season. And it's really hard to, I mean, obviously, I don't know. I've never been on a reality TV show, but I would imagine it's so hard not only navigating a new relationship, but navigating fame, managers, sponsors, and all the hate that they get. It's just, it really, like, I was really feeling for Alandria today, because it just feels like over and over again she keeps getting disappointed by these people who she thinks are her friends, and yet they play in her face and then say one thing on a podcast and not to her directly. And it's just, it's weird behavior. It really is weird behavior. So NICOLANDRIA on top, and I really hope that they get to see each other soon and just like comfort each other. I know that whole topic was so parasocial. Again, like I said at the top of the show, very parasocial episode. But I really feel for them. And I think I think this weekend I need to actually like turn off my phone and not be on Twitter for 12 hours a day. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn off my phone and just kind of be, because I was really getting affected by what was happening today, because it just was really disheartening to see. And I just want the best for Nick and Alandria, because they deserve it, and the world can see that they are both genuine, sweet people who are just, they don't deserve the things that are happening to them. And yeah, it's just hard to see. And last but not least, on top of all of that I just talked about, Ariana decides that she wants to drop a tour teaser today. Ariana, this is not the time nor the place for that. Baby, where do you think I have the funds for you to drop a tour right now? Because I already know she's not coming to DC. I think it's going to be very limited dates. And I know I'm going to have to go to New York for it. And I'm going to have to shell out some big coins, because she is like 3 times the size that she was during not the Dangerous Woman tour, the Thank You Next tour. It's going to be a bloodbath, I fear. Because now everybody wants to be Ariana Grande stan after Eternal Sunshine. Like, girl, where were you? Where were you for yours truly? I can't even get into it. And I won't. But literally everybody needs to get out of my way, because I didn't go to the Thank You Next tour. So the one and only time that I've seen her was her first tour, the Honeymoon Avenue tour. Literally get out of my way. Also, obviously she's going to do like Eternal Sunshine songs, but she's also going to do Position songs. So y'all don't deserve that. I do. It's going to be rough. It's really going to be rough. And I'm not ready, because everybody and their mother is going on tour in September and October. Every K-pop group ever, literally every K-pop group you've ever heard of is going on tour in October and late September. So how does that make sense? So I'm going to need her to, I need her to do something, and I need her to wait. Ooh, now that I'm thinking about this out loud, I don't know if she has memberships through Weverse, but she is on Weverse, which is like known as like a K-pop app. And what I mean by that, it's basically like Twitter for K-pop idols, because they can like post things, they can post photos, status updates, whatever. And then you can enter like their fan club, which is free, and interact with them because they have a chance of like seeing it on their timeline. But a lot of times for K-pop shows, if you have like a Weverse membership to that specific group, you get like a pre-sale code, you know, and the Weverse membership does cost money. So I'm wondering, Ariana is on Weverse, so would she do like a Weverse pre-sale? Interesting. And then me and my friend Joe were hypothesizing. Yep, we were. We were talking about like, you know, like what a VIP situation would look like. Like, would it be meet and greets? But it's also been COVID. And I think, again, like she's so much bigger now. So I don't think she would be doing meet and greets anymore. But her meet and greets used to eat for sure. And then like, it could be like a club renaissance type of thing. Like how, in Beyonce's pitch, she has like 2 sections. It could be like Club Eternal, Club Sunshine. Thoughts on that, Ari? So again, it would be like a pit situation. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud now. So I'm going to need her to not do anything right now or anytime soon because, baby, I can't do it. I'm unable to do that right now. So, all right. And with that, all that being said, I need to go to bed because we're driving in the morning and I'm tired. So thank you so much for listening. I really hope this makes sense. But moral of the story is, Ace, you are a immature 22-year-old short man, Leo, who is bitter and jealous and doesn't really deserve anything right now. And this entire cast of Love Island, except for Alandria and Nick, has been absolute trash. I'm trying to think of one other person that I might like. Hannah's not bad. and the silence says a lot. So NICOLANDRIA on top always. And I really hope that they continue to get their bag and their haters continue to rot. Because how dare you? How dare you? Literally, how dare you? Whatever. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Whatever. I need to stop talking. I'm just tired and I'm angry again. So leave a comment down below if you're feeling fancy. Leave us 5 stars as well. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Not Twitter. We're not on Twitter. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Unhinged Fangirl Podcast. And I will see y'all next week. Hopefully with something lighter, but honestly, probably not. All right. Bye, guys.